This never-ending debate between the 11-inch and the 12.9-inch iPad Pro has been going on ever since Apple introduced the two Pro variants back in 2018. In this video, I'm going to help you guys decide between the 11-inch and the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. But I don't want to give you guys just my own perspective. I want you guys to be exposed to a lot of different opinions. That's why in this video, I've teamed up with some of my favorite creators to give you guys a broad range of opinions on which iPad Pro you should pick up. These creators use their iPads on a daily basis and have some really good insight. So make sure you guys do go and check out their channels. It'll be linked in the description below. So I've always been an advocate for the 12.9-inch iPad Pro since I figured I want to use my iPad primarily as my main go-to computer. My logic was that a bigger screen would be a more favorable option when it comes down to multitasking or editing videos using my iPad. But all of that changed when I was forced by default to buy the 11-inch M1 iPad Pro. The 12.9-inch M1 was sold out, and I decided, hey, why not give the 11-inch a shot? And man, am I ever glad that I did, because I have truly fallen in love with this size and this form factor. I seriously don't think I can ever go back to the 12.9-inch variant ever again, and let me tell you why. The 11-inch embodies the way that I feel like an iPad is supposed to be used. I know a lot of people who never take their iPad off the Magic Keyboard, and that's quite alright. You see, the way that I like to use my iPad is sort of as a hybrid between a tablet and a laptop, and I feel like the 11-inch iPad Pro has a lot of flexibility in that manner. You can use it as a portable tablet in the comfort of your own couch or bed without the burden of carrying this massive screen around. It's also equipped with the same chipset as the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, so it's more than powerful enough to use as a laptop without sacrificing performance. Not to mention, the 11-inch iPad Pro is about $300 cheaper than its counterpart. I don't know about you guys, but I can do a lot with $300. Yes, on the 11-inch iPad Pro, you don't get that mini LED experience, and mini LED is actually quite impressive. But keep in mind, Apple makes industry-leading LCD panels, and the display on the 11-inch is more than good enough for my use case. That's just my 2 cents, but let's see what these other creators have to say. Over to you, Patrick.
Hey, what's up, RJ? Thanks for inviting me to collab, and let's get right to it. As you know, I'm 100% Team 12.9-inch, and I have several reasons for that. The first one is maybe a bit obvious, and that is size. I've always used very large flagship phones. I always chose Samsung Ultra models or the iPhone Pro Max, and the displays on those things are massive. So when I was using a 10-inch tablet, I found myself not really using it. The screen on my phone was so big that I never really felt the need to grab my tablet. That all changed when I got my first 12.9-inch iPad Pro last year, which I used all the time. The difference in screen is substantial enough to make me want to switch from my phone to my tablet. Currently, I'm using an iPhone mini, but that was the reason why I started using a 12.9-inch screen. And now everything else just seems small, so I'm sticking with it. Also, I don't really feel that the 12.9-inch is any less portable than the 11-inch. It's not like you can stick your 11-inch iPad Pro in your pocket, so you're gonna have to bring a bag anyway. And if you do that, you might as well bring a 12.9-inch. The second reason, and that is especially true this year, is that the 12.9-inch tends to be even more pro. On this year's M1 models, only the 12.9-inch version has that new crispy mini LED screen. And while that's not necessarily a deal breaker for me, it sure is nice to have, especially on those bright summer days where those extra nits of brightness can come in very handy.
So first off, shout out to RJ for including me in this video, but if we go back to when I first started the channel, you'll notice that I've been with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, whether the 2018 or the 2021 version. I've been with that since the beginning. And the reason I went with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro in the very beginning is because I wanted my iPad Pro to fully replace my laptop. And I figured if I'm going to replace my laptop, let me get as close as I can to that 13-inch or 13.3-inch form factor that I've been so used to on the MacBook side and even on the Windows side when I was doing Windows work essentially, right? So that was my main reasoning as to why I went to 12.9-inch. And ever since then, my iPad Pro has been my work machine, right? I edit all my videos on there, script all these videos, upload everything to YouTube. I do actual 9-to-5 work on it, answer emails, surf the web, anything for leisure, like Netflix, YouTube, all that good stuff. And I just like having a bigger canvas, a brighter screen. Now on the 2021 iPad Pro, you do get the brighter screen with the mini LED display and that Pro Retina XDR. So overall, I like the bigger canvas. I like to be able to see more and ideally do more. Even though multitasking is very similar on the 11-inch, honestly, it's probably identical on the 11-inch than it is on the 12.9-inch. You still feel like you can do more from a productivity standpoint on a 12.9-inch, right? Versus the 11-inch, yes, from a power and efficiency standpoint, it's the exact same thing as a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, but there's something about the 11-inch that makes it feel more like a toy. It's more, yes, it's a lot more portable because it's so much smaller. Even though it's only about a 2-inch screen size difference, the footprint's way smaller. You lose about 33% of the weight as well, so it's just a much more portable device. But it's, again, it's a tablet first that you use for content consumption, in my opinion, versus a 12.9-inch iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard. There you have a work machine. So aside from the fact that I like just a bigger screen, there isn't a real reason as to why I went the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, because again, I don't need many LED displays. The display I had before worked totally fine. Is it nice that it's brighter? Of course it's nice that it's brighter. But at the end of the day, I just prefer the 12.9-inch because it feels as close and as familiar as I'm going to get to that laptop feel and that laptop form factor. But on to the next one. Shout out to RJ again.
Hey guys, it's Saran here, and today let's delve into why I like the 11-inch iPad Pro. Now yes, I know some of you guys might use your iPad Pro as a laptop replacement, but I can't because I need Final Cut, which the iPad doesn't offer, and so I use the iPad as a complementary device to my MacBook. And so because it's a complementary device, I prefer the portability you get with the 11-inch iPad Pro over the 12.9-inch model. For example, I don't use a Magic Keyboard because A, it's pretty expensive, but B, I don't need a keyboard because I use my iPad for tablet purposes like watching content, browsing social media, doing some light thumbnail work on it, but really nothing too intensive. And so I do appreciate that I can comfortably hold the 11-inch iPad Pro in one hand with ease, with no issues at all. That portability is definitely what I appreciate about the smaller size. But also, if you were to use a Magic Keyboard with the 11-inch iPad Pro, it's way lighter than the 12.9-inch because the 12.9-inch with a Magic Keyboard is MacBook levels of weight, and that is quite a ginormous tablet to carry around. And so when I was taking my iPad to school, I again appreciated the portability and the lightness of the 11-inch iPad Pro, even with a Magic Keyboard. But of course, as an Asian who loves to save his money, the best thing about the 11-inch iPad Pro has to be the price, because it's a whopping $300 less than the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. And that makes it an insane deal in my opinion, because obviously you're paying quite a lot for that 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and there are limitations with iPadOS, so why spend MacBook levels of money on an iPad, which most likely can't replace a Mac for you? And so I do think $800 for the iPad Pro 11-inch with the limitations of iPadOS is a way better deal. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the 11-inch iPad Pro. I'm proud to be part of the 11-inch iPad Pro gang. Thank you to RJ for having me on, and I hope to see some of you guys on my channel very soon.
Hey RJ, hi everyone, Alex here. I do down-to-earth tech reviews. First of all, thank you so much RJ for inviting me along with these other great creators here. It's truly a great honor to be here. Why did I choose the 12.9-inch iPad Pro versus the 11-inch? I'll be perfectly honest, as soon as the display specs were rumored to be only coming to the 12.9-inch, the 11-inch wasn't really a consideration for me. I was upgrading from the 2015 iPad Pro, also 20.9-inch, and I really didn't want to be upgrading again anytime soon, so future-proofing was definitely something that I took into account. Let's put it this way, my decision between the 11-inch and 12.9-inch was based 90% on the Liquid Retina XDR display and 10% on the Magic Keyboard. I know it's an accessory, but being the same size as my MacBook Pro keyboard was super important for me. All of the other features, Thunderbolt and the M1 chip itself, are of course the same, and frankly I only got the 1TB version because I wanted the 16 gig, and Apple, being Apple, forced me to get the 1TB for that. My perfect spec would have been the 512 gig storage with the 16 gig RAM, but hey, because whatever is coming to the iPad Pro in terms of software, I didn't want to feel like I needed an upgrade again next year or the year after spending so much on this iPad Pro already. But guys, it's all about the Liquid Retina XDR display for me. I love watching content on this. I found myself just having Netflix on with my favorite show in the background as I work, which I never really used to do with the iPad. You know, I always would use my MacBook Pro itself for that. Having this quality on a tablet is truly amazing. I knew it would be good after it was announced in April, but the best way to describe for me is like spatial audio. At first I thought it was marketing, just hyping it up, but the experience really delivered. And that's been the same for me with the display. It definitely lived up to the hype. Is it perfect? No, it isn't. The blooming issue is there if you go looking for it, but in my experience, watching content and editing photos and videos, it really hasn't impacted me at all. And that will be it from me, guys. Thanks once again, RJ, and your viewers for having me over. Hope to see you and your smiling faces around sometime. See ya.
So I went with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro for a few different reasons, but I'll just walk you through my top 3 for why I picked this over the smaller 11-inch model. Alright, so first off, I really like using my iPad in sidecar mode, so that way I have some extra space while I'm working or editing, and this is super helpful for those times I'm working just away from my desk and my large monitor. I've tried this in the past with the 11-inch iPad, but I feel like the 12.9-inch model just gives you more flexibility for different things that you want to work on. I also use the split screen multitasking on the iPad itself for when I'm writing emails or working on scripts, like for this video right now. And I know this is something you can do on a laptop, but sometimes it's just more convenient to just take an iPad with you since it's smaller and lighter than my MacBook. And lastly, I love editing photos on my iPad. It's where I do all of them for my thumbnails, my posts, and it's just so convenient. You have the entire screen dedicated to that one photo with the controls on the side. I use both Pixelmator Pro and Lightroom on there, so I can just switch between the two apps depending on what I need. And this just, again, is for the portability aspect and the convenience of using the Apple Pencil to easily brush off things that I want to remove using the healing brush or just easily slide the sliders. So much more convenient than dragging a mouse and clicking on different buttons. And like I mentioned before, since it's almost a third of the weight of my laptop, it's so much more convenient to just be able to pull it out during a break in my day and work on editing some photos compared to pulling out my whole laptop and loading up the files. Alright, so those are just my top 3 reasons for going with the larger iPad, but there's a ton more out there and I just find it super useful.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Trent's Tech here, and one of my favorite things about the new iPad or the M1 iPad is actually the screen. And yes, the screen has been around for a while as far as the 12.9-inch display, but I do like the size of the screen, and I actually do like the mini LED. So it's been a really good thing for me. I've been able to see things a lot better. And overall, I've just enjoyed the newer type of iPad experience, even though it's kind of a very familiar and similar iPad experience. But the 120 hertz display plus the brightness is absolutely clutch, and those are my favorite things about it. And I kind of wish the battery life could be a little bit better, but hey, we're working with a high refresh rate and everything else like that. So thanks.
I just want to give a major shout out to all of these talented creators. I think this collaboration turned out pretty well. I do hope that this video was informative enough to help you guys make a purchase decision between the 11-inch and the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Make sure to check out everyone's channel, link is in the description below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to flex with your tech.